Okay, so I want to demonstrate a few things. So I'm noticing that some people are still having some issues with using their wrist for activation. Now just know when you're using the 11-12 Explorer, it is not critical that you use your wrist for activation. It is okay to use your fingers for activation. However, the next instruments that you're going to be learning, the scalars, you're going to have to do wrist activation. So we're stressing it a little bit more now when you're learning the 11-12 Explorer, because wrist activation is going to be important for when we go to the next step, and then you'll just be a step ahead. Now with me, I always use wrist activation with the, even when I'm using the 11-12 Explorer with a light grasp, I'll just use nice wrist activation. But I feel like students are having a tough time with it. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to rock on your fulcrum, okay? It looks just like this, like you're opening a door, okay? So your wrist is just going back and forth. So you have your fulcrum on a tooth and you're just going to rock, okay? These nice rocking motions. See how it creates the up and down motion on the tooth just by doing that. No, I'm on a big, huge tooth. So if it was a normal sized tooth, I can fulcrum on the tooth next to it and do that rocking motion. So just see here, what I'm going to do is I have the correct grasp. Okay, I'm on that tooth and I'm just going to use my wrist to do the up and down motion. Just like opening a door, just rock on the fulcrum, rock. Okay, just rock back and forth, rock, 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 rock. Okay, if I was using my fingers for activation, you're going to notice that this finger and this finger separate. Okay, when I use my okay, this is finger activation. Okay, I'm going to get very fatigued if I'm using scalars over time. So you see that? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to act like these two fingers are glued together. Okay, and they're stuck together and they don't come apart. They're glued. And do you see how they don't move? I'm just using my wrist to do the up and down motion. That's what I need you to start practicing, is using that wrist activation when you're in the mouth. Okay, now students can do the wrist activation if they're just doing what I'm doing, just on the straight buccal with the straight lingual. They can just do that, right? It's not an issue. The second becomes hard is when you have to roll the instrument in your when you have to roll the instrument in your fingers to go interproximal. That's when it becomes difficult. So what I recommend doing, if your brain's not letting you rock and roll at the same time, is come off of a tooth and just rock with your wrist and roll with your fingers. Just practice rocking and rolling at the same time. Just do that over and over again until it becomes a habit that you can rock and roll at the same time. You don't even have to think about being on a tooth right now, just rocking and rolling. Okay, letting your brain do those two things at the same time. When you feel like you have that down, then go to the tooth and practice it. Rock and then roll interproximal. Okay? Another thing that I want to point out is that students are having a tough time with the side of the point, okay? And this becomes important so we don't poke our patient. So this is what it looks like if I'm on the tooth with a direct point, okay? I'm directly on the point of the instrument. If I were to explore that way, I'm not going to cover much ground. It's going to take me forever to cover this entire tooth and figure out if there's calculus. So instead, we want to be on the side of the point, all right? So I'm going to lean the instrument down just a little bit, not all the way so it's completely flat, because what happens if it's completely flat? I can cover a lot of ground because I have about 3 millimeters of the instrument touching the tooth. But what happens is, watch, when I go interproximal, can you see that? Part of my instrument comes off the tooth and now is poking gum tissue. So instead, if I'm on the side of the point, so I only have probably about 1 millimeter of the instrument on the tooth, just 1 millimeter, but the point is part of it. I have control of the point at all times. Now, when I go around the corner, if I keep that side of the point on, do you see that none of it came off the tooth? Now I'm not going to hit any gum tissue. So if your patient is feeling uncomfortable when you're doing it in a real human mouth, it probably means you're not on the side of the point enough. It means that you're laying your instrument way too flat, and when you go around that corner, part of the point comes off because you have way too much of that instrument flat against that tooth. So we don't want to be on the point. You're not going to cover much ground. We don't want to be flat where 3 millimeters of this instrument is touching the tooth. Although we can cover a lot of the tooth that way, it doesn't work well when you're rounding that corner, okay? So instead, you're gonna lift the back of your instrument up like this, zoop, just a little bit, So now we're on the side of the point, about 1 millimeter of the instrument is actually touching tooth. I'm going up and down using my wrist to activate it and rounding the corners and keeping the side of the point on, so I'm not going to poke gum tissue. Okay, so those are 2 things to be practicing like crazy. Using your wrist for activation and remembering to rock and roll at the same time, and keeping the side of the point on the tooth so that way you don't cut gingival tissue when you go in between the teeth. Okay, I hope that helps. I'll show you my face. Ah! Hope that helps. Thank you.